Endgame-Love. Quote, act boldly and mighty forces will come to your aid. Let me do that one more time. Endgame-Love. Quote, act boldly and mighty forces will come to your aid. End quote. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Seeing is not always believing, much less understanding. What matters is seeing with a conscientious and open perspective. History provides many examples of people witnessing phenomena that were refuted outright by higher authorities. A good example is Renaissance astronomer Galileo Galilei, who failed to get the Pope, priests, and even scientists of the period to look at Jupiter's moons through a telescope. They knew they would see new things and their world, quite literally, would be turned upside down. So they refused to look through the telescope. The lesson is that nobody can see new horizons unless they are willing to look beyond their own shoreline. Perspective is everything. Consider your life and those around you. We are living on a stunningly beautiful planet with so much wonder, magnificence, and abundance. We do not seem to comprehend how lucky we are to be alive right now on this planet we call Earth. Nature is such a beautiful gift that it's hard to appreciate the forest for the trees. Many feel lost because we become cogs in the wheel of the mass madness called society. Look at the species of animals that live in your neighborhood and think of how astonishing these animals are to have evolved to the point they are now. If you don't care about yourself and your own future, then at least do something for the sake of the animals that depend on the planet just as much as we do. Don't go around accusing the average person for being who they have become. We are the outcome of multiple, mostly negative determinants. There are the societal forces that intentionally molded us this way. There are the toxins people consume on a daily basis, which harm our natural survival instincts and even affect our ability to think. Yet our alleged victimhood is only superficial. There is a beautiful endgame for us, but only if we can change our focus to loving all that is around us, even as Jesus preached our enemies who caused this mess. A good way to start embracing love is to find easy ways to practice compassion. This is amazingly simple. Remember, there can be no such thing as a small act of kindness. Every act creates a ripple effect with no logical end. A kind and compassionate act is often its own reward. The Greek philosopher Socrates observed, quote, "The highest realms of thought are impossible to reach without first attaining an understanding of compassion," end quote. All living beings seek happiness, so let your compassion extend itself to all. Do it for your own self-betterment. A compassionate world begins with each one of us as an embodiment. As if we all practice it, the world will be transformed. How could it not be? Quote, compassion, in which all ethics must take root, can only attain its full breadth and depth if it embraces all living creatures and does not limit itself to mankind, said Albert Schweitzer. He went on, quote, "It is a man's sympathy with all creatures that first makes him truly a man," end quote. Noosphere and the Psi Bank. The noosphere, according to the understanding of Vladimir Vernadsky and Teilhard de Chardin, denotes that the sphere of human thought. The word is derived from the Greek word nous, meaning mind, and spheria, meaning sphere. In lexical analogy, it is related to atmosphere and biosphere. The noosphere is the upper atmosphere located between the radiation belts. By the constructs of Vernadsky and de Chardin, our brains are electromagnetic and can thus affect the electromagnetic fields. Author Jose Arguelles calls the noosphere a circumpolar rainbow bridge surrounding the planet. A new phase change occurred at the end of the year 2012, and this has taken us into the beginning of the Psychozoic era. The noosphere is best described as a sort of collective consciousness among all human beings. It emerges gradually from the highest interaction of human minds. The noosphere has grown in step with the organization of the human mass in relation to itself as it postulates the earth. As humankind organizes itself in more complex social networks, the higher the noosphere will grow in awareness. This is an extension of Teilhard's law of complexity and consciousness, the law describing the nature of evolution in the universe. Teilhard de Chardin added that the noosphere is growing towards an even greater integration and unification, culminating in the omega point, which he saw as the goal of history. The goal of history, then, is an apex of thought and consciousness. Teilhard de Chardin commented that, quote, "The more complex a being is, so our scale of complexity tells us, the more it is centered upon itself, and therefore the more aware does it become." In other words, the higher the degree of complexity in a living creature, the higher its consciousness, and vice versa. The two properties vary in parallel and simultaneously. If we depict them in a dioramic form, they are equivalent and interchangeable, end quote. If it is possible to spiritually unify and coordinate ourselves telepathically all over the planet, we will need a common goal. How can this be done? First, by understanding the how. The global memory matrix is known as the Psi Bank, PSI Bank, which regulates all of the thinking layers that exist. The Psi Bank is a magnetic memory field around the Earth, which is influencing biological evolution. These thinking layers act much like a membrane, similar to the membrane of a eukaryotic cell. There are also layers on the physical, the spiritual, the astral, and the etheric planes. These outer layers exist in the Earth's spheres, including the radiation and magnetic belts. They are fourth and fifth dimensional zones of consciousness wherein structural codes of harmonious growth and development are stored. These codes can be accessed through the use of sacred rituals, metaphysical arts, and esoteric sciences. They can also be accessed by looking within. Know thyself. Many neuroscientists and psychologists agree that we can consciously use only a small fraction of our brains. What if we were able to tap into the major portion of our unused mental capacities? Could it make us extremely smart? Well, that depends on how you define smart. Having book smarts or street smarts will not help us heal our own selves. Your mind is powerful enough to make you sick. It is also powerful enough to allow you to heal yourself. This will be the real therapy process in the future. Eventually, there will be a step-by-step process where every individual can get in touch with his or her subconscious mind and, in turn, gain access to the universal mind. Technology therapy using ET headbands that can access our past lives will recover vast amounts of lost, forgotten, or hidden knowledge relevant to who we really are as spiritual individuals. Our lesson in this age is to know ourselves. If you want to live in a beautiful, peaceful world, it is your choice. Conversely, it is also your choice to live in fear and anger. It does not matter if you have had a horrible domestic life or a bad childhood. That focus is what holds us to old earth. What's important is letting go of the negative emotions. Let go of fear. Embrace forgiveness. Focus on peace and harmony, and you can have that in your life. We all have the power to heal our lives, and everyone needs to know that. We think so often that we are helpless, but we're not. We always have the power of our minds. Claim and consciously use your power. We can change the future with our thoughts. Until we have access to the headbands, this form of self-therapy still works best. In the end, developing a personal philosophy that feels right to you is the best solution. A personal philosophy should be concerned with questions of ultimate meaning, such as the purpose of life, the relation between mind and body, and an understanding of a higher power in the universe. The primary religious values of love and compassion appear to be almost completely divorced from shaping the economic and political life of our culture. Most politicians and corporate decision makers focus on fame and fortune for themselves, which is in service to self. An ego-based philosophy that does not value kindness, that does not seek to share its bounty, and that measures its self-worth according to wealth, status, and reputation will ultimately fail. The same is true for organized religions when they become biased against selected groups and driven by political ambitions instead of loving and kindness. Poet Ella Wheeler Wilcox observed, quote, "So many gods, so many creeds, so many paths that wind and wind, while just the art of being kind is all the sad world needs." End quote. So simple. Love is the primary philosophical value common to the origin of all the world's religions. A simple four-letter word that means so much. The religions of the world are aligned when they agree that divine love is the force which creates and sustains our world. Our primary purpose, when embodied, is to grow in our ability to understand and express this divine love. The majority of the world's religions advocate that we practice compassion and forgiveness towards others, that we treat people as we ourselves would like to be treated, and that we not obsess over material possessions. The good life, according to religion, consists not in the pursuit of money, reputation, status, or power, but rather in the pursuit of the right relationship with the divine. Access to the divine is through learning to know the deepest part of ourselves. This will lead to the belief that success by afterlife standards is measured not in terms of publications, grants, wealth, or reputation, but rather by acts of kindness and compassion towards others. Thus, materialism is false, and consciousness can and does exist independently of the body. Those who are aware of this truth have been dubbed quantum activists. No fear. When each of us can banish fear from our lives, we will have the ability to expand in amazing ways. By losing fear, the challenges we face in life will then become great opportunities. For if it were not for the challenges, the opportunities we are provided would not be so profound. Losing fear is a power we all have, and it has the capacity to unite the human family. It will help us embrace unity consciousness. It will allow us to develop peaceful non-compliance to an unfair system and yet remain focused on happiness and staying positive. Sound too difficult to lose fear? Then try a little experiment. Begin each day with a random act of kindness. By doing this, we instantly change the energy field. Polarizing energy, the cultivation of conflict and differences with its accompanying distrust, anger, violence, and fear, is promoted by the powers that were to keep us divided. Once we see through their program, we can truly break the bonds of subservience and unify the human race. Just remember, there is a lot of trickery in the world. Sometimes it is difficult to deal with angry people, a broken system, or the very real threat of physical violence. But with motivation and discipline, you can remember that fear will keep you down while love will bring you up. Human evolution is the evolution of consciousness. Even the earth we live on is a living and conscious life form with complete awareness of itself. In turn, humans are evolving alongside it. Consciousness itself is evolving, creating a new reality, and humans are the vector, as above, so below. The choice between love and fear lies within all of us. When we forget, we can always choose once again. The entire human race is in reality one singular consciousness. What keeps us united is our collective focus on love. What divides us is going into fear. Remain centered in your heart with a connection to the heart of the earth and spread goodness wherever you go. This will be the best way to prepare for the coming changes. But the most important factor is letting go of fear. Release negative emotions, no matter how bad, no matter how much a condition or circumstance is someone else's fault. Don't give yourself away. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. We've all heard of karma. When you create fear, you create a great deal of karma. This is an assurance that you'll be reborn on earth time and time again until you embrace love and forgiveness. Follow the one universal law of unconditional love, and it will return back to you manyfold. Besides, after we die, what is there to fear or to hate or to judge any longer? Understand that the life we are living in this reality is a game of free will being played out of single consciousness, in which we are all frequencies and shafts of light into the holographic universe. Embrace it, become it, and willfully bring it into your life, because pure love energy is the essence of what we are and from whence we've come. If you want a second opinion, then take it from Albert Einstein. He said, quote, "Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics." End quote. Next time you feel fearful, try to remember the Mayan wisdom term, in la catch, which means, quote, "I am another yourself," end quote. Or I am you, or you are me. We are all one, and we are all in this together, and fear will only hold us back. If still in doubt that fear-based emotions should not longer have a place in your life, remember these words from the Dalai Lama, quote, "Anger is the ultimate destroyer of your own peace of mind," end quote. The love vibration. Japanese author Dr. Masaru Emoto has conducted worldwide research on the effects of thought, words, music, and intentions upon water molecules. His extensive research concluded that words can actually convert the vibrations of nature into sound. According to Dr. Emoto, an emotional discharge by a person can alter the structure of localized water crystals. Positive emotional changes can be achieved through prayer, music, or by attaching written words to a container of water. Dr. Emoto claims that there are many differences in the crystalline structure of the water, depending on the type of water source. He collected samples from all over the world and documented that a water sample from a pristine mountain stream, for example, will show a geometric design that is beautifully shaped when frozen. On the other hand, polluted water sources will show a definite distortion, and their structure is more randomly formed. Displaying a more neutral pattern, an ice crystal of distilled water exhibits a basic hexagonal structure with no intricate branching. His research further indicates that when human speech or thoughts are directed at water droplets before being frozen, images of the resulting water crystals will be beautiful or ugly depending on whether the words or thoughts were positive or negative. Our intention with the words we choose has a real effect on the material world. Considering that the human body is made up of over 80% water, it really does matter how we speak and think about ourselves and others. Thoughts as well as words are things. Choose them wisely. Love needs to be based on gratitude, and gratitude needs to be based in love. According to Dr. Emoto, these two words together create the most important positive vibration in water crystals. Semantics is the study of visible sound and vibration. Semantics is the study of visible sound and vibration. In the living as well as non-living parts of nature, the trained eye encounters widespread evidence of systems in a periodic state of vibration. The systems of sound and vibration show a continuous transformation from one set of conditions to the opposite set. We see everywhere examples of vibrations, oscillations, pulses, wave motions, wind patterns, pendulum swings, rhythmic courses of events, serial sequences, and their effect and actions. Everything owes its existence solely and completely to sound. Indeed, according to semantics, vibration creates matter. Sound is the factor which holds it all together. Similarly, our reality is holographic, with each portion or segment containing the whole. If you amplify its frequency, the structure of matter will change. It becomes evident that there is a predictability about the study of harmonics and their standing, wave patterns. Not surprisingly, this predictability expresses itself in a series of mathematical relationships which correlate the wavelength of the wave pattern to the length of the medium. Additionally, the frequency of each harmonic overtone is mathematically related to the frequency of the first harmonic. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particle of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. Everything from the atomic level to the far reaches of the galaxy has this same correlated frequency, vibration, and sound, suggesting we are all existing in a holographic universe. Knowing that any one thing influences everything else, how could we strive for anything less than being the best possible person we could be? Again, whatever the question, love is the answer. The earth vibration. The incredible truth is that we humans vibrate at the same pulse rates as the living planet Earth. This aligns the human race with all other living organism and sentient beings, including light in the ladder or chain of existence. This alignment is the vertical axis of consciousness, linking us outward toward the noosphere and the psi bank. We can think of our levels of consciousness in vibrational terms. The iron core crystal in the center of the earth vibrates at 40 hertz, which is equal to 40 pulses per second. When the mind is most active and creative, it pulsates with the core at 40 hertz. This is the beta wave state associated with normal waking consciousness. When we are in this beta state, we are resonating with the Earth's inner iron core crystal. When the mind is relaxed and meditative, it vibrates with the Earth's inner spheres, those from the core to the crust. We pulse progressively slower from 40 hertz down to 7 hertz as our relaxation increases. Alpha waves are reduced with open eyes, drowsiness, and eventually sleep. In the beta through alpha states, we are resonating with the inner earth. Our brains vibrate in alpha at 13 to 8 hertz, so we resonate with the inner earth when in both beta and alpha waves. The Earth's crust vibrates at around 7.5 hertz. This is the transition between alpha and theta waves. When we are drowsy or in a light sleep, alpha waves are reduced and our mind pulse with theta waves at 7 to 4 hertz as our consciousness begins to move out into the atmosphere. The Earth's Van Allen belt, the inner belt of radiation that contains charged particles held in place by the Earth's surface, is 7 to 4 hertz. This means that when our minds pulse in theta, we are resonating with the atmosphere and the inner Van Allen belt. When we are in a deep sleep, our minds are in the delta range at 4 to 1 hertz, which means we are resonating far outside the planet. In the deepest stages of delta sleep, we are vibrating with the outer Van Allen belt and out to the magnetopause, the interface between Earth's electromagnetic fields and the solar system. The magnetopause is where the pressure from the solar wind and the planet's magnetic field are equal. In other words, when we are thinking the most intensely and having creative flashes of genius, we are vibrating with the iron core crystal. When we are in the deepest states of concentration, we are connected directly to the core of the Earth's central intelligence. And when we let go, relax, and fall asleep, our minds move out of the fields of the planet. When we move out into space, we leave our bodies, the Earth, and move into the celestial realms. Similarly, the first dimension is the iron core crystal in the center of the Earth. The second dimension is the outer and inner core. The third dimension is the crust. The fourth dimension is Earth's atmosphere, extending all the way through the inner and outer Van Allen belts and out to the magnetopause. The fifth dimension and higher are beyond the magnetopause. Of course, we are living our waking hours in the third dimension. Be the change you wish to see in the world. We wait for the day when all people of all races and colors can live together in total respect and trust on a planet that is clean, healthy, and abundant. In fact, we can bring this into the world fairly easily and efficiently, but it must begin within each of us. In our daily lives, we can start each day by seeking wisdom, being truthful, practicing generosity, and hold the conviction that compassion for all life is important. In our hearts and minds, we must first develop a love for ourselves, then for those around us, and eventually for every living person and every living thing. This is gained by a sense of reason and compassion. We must move towards bringing an end to all aggression, conflicts, and acts of violence, as well as criminality and discord. And we must do so without hate, revenge, jealousy, privation, misery, murder, terror, or wars. We must recognize creation and life through evolution as the highest goal and meaning of life, manifesting true peace and love for all, despite skin color, race, or faith. Eventually, we must forgive everyone, even if certain individuals brought us harm. Let go of all grievances. Our personal grudges will be our baggage to carry until we can finally lay them aside. Forgive those who spitefully use you is what Jesus meant by expressing unconditional love. For those fed up with the financial world and all its inequalities, simply do not participate until we can abolish money. Stop paying for credit. Stop paying the banker's tax. Use interest-free credit schemes. Buy your consumer durables secondhand. Buy all market goods from family businesses, farmers markets, and charities. Stop watching TV news. Avoid violent movies or video games. Stop reading mainstream newspapers. If possible, leave your publicly limited company job. Demand that bankers give back the wealth they've robbed from humanity. Quote, in the end, we will return to the question, just how much do you love truth? End quote. Inquires author Scott Mandelker. He goes on, quote, do you really love truth, or are you just curious? Do you love it enough to rebuild your understanding to conform to a reality that doesn't fit your current beliefs and doesn't feel 120% happy? Do you love truth enough to continue seeking even when it hurts, when it reveals aspects of yourself or human society or the universe that are shocking, complex, and disturbing, or humbling, glorious, and amazing, or even when truth is far beyond the human mind itself? Just how much do we love truth? It's a good question to ask ourselves, I think. End quote. We need to strive to be completely truthful as individuals if we are to fully embrace love. Never forget that truth is a constant in the universe, no matter how much any truism may appear to hurt. Just as George Orwell noted, quote, in a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. End quote. Manifest your destiny. The goal is to reach universal consciousness, when one will become the many. To achieve this, focus on positive, good thoughts. Laugh out loud and be happy to quicken it into existence. Love, happiness, joy, and laughter at the exact moment you focus your creation manifests what you want instantaneously. Thoughts without emotion dissolve. Here are 5 simple rules for happiness. Free your heart from hatred. Free your mind from worries. Live simply. Give more. Expect less. You must be happy with what you wish to manifest. Pay no attention to that which makes you sad, angry, frustrated, or depressed. Pay full attention to love, peace, abundance, truth, honesty, justice, and caring. These positive emotions add energy to the positive vibration of unconditional love. Adding energy to this vibration of love brings it into being effortlessly. Collective consciousness of love manifests into our reality almost instantaneously. When happiness and love are combined, it brings manifestation into existence rapidly to all those around you. Get ready for your own graduation process. Humanity is lifting the veil of illusion. All participants are advised to distinguish between literary dogma and universal truth. The universal truth is to be found inside each and every one of us. We've learned it all. We have all the wisdom and knowledge of the universe within us. It is time for the human race on planet Earth to turn inside out, and collectively reach for our highest potential, a true one world order benefiting all. Great truths are deceptively simple, just as profound truths are always right before our eyes, yet often masked by clever deceptions. In our modern world, the most insidious deception is the illusion of separation. Religions, nations, races, and politics keep us divided, but in truth, each and every individual alive in this world is a unique expression of planet Earth itself. Our very flesh, the air we breathe, the food we consume, the water we drink, the blood in our veins, every component of the instrumentalities of our technological society, down to the smallest microchip, all come from the living planet Earth. We are inextricably one with the world we inhabit. We are each of us individualized expressions of the consciousness of the Earth itself, just as it is an individualized expression of the consciousness of our galaxy, just as our galaxy is an individualized expression of all creation. The great masters fully understood this ultimate truth of spiritual unity. Jesus said, quote, "Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done to one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it to me." End quote. Desiderata. Max Ehrman was a lawyer and a poet from Terre Haute, Indiana, who lived from 1872 to 1945. He wrote Desiderata in 1927 at the age of 55, which made him famous, but only after his death. The title means a list of desirable items. It has been reported that Desiderata was inspired by an urge that Ehrman noted in his diary. He wrote, "I should like, if I could, to leave a humble gift, a bit of chaste prose that had caught up some noble moods." End quote. Like Lao Tzu in his book The Way, Max Ehrman captures the essence of being and correct living in such concise prose. Here is Desiderata in its entirety. Quote, "Go placidly among the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let not this blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself, especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations and the noise and confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. End quote. And back to our utopia. Let us assume the end game will be love and there will be world peace. Let's say a younger generation will come together in unity consciousness, and by doing so, put an end to all wars, poverty, and a reversal to environmental destruction. Money will lose its power to enslave. Problems are solved non-violently, and no one is left behind. Utilizing new technologies will produce opportunities on the horizon never before imagined. Humanity will be set free. Breakthroughs will include the introduction of free energy available to all people with no pollution. With unlimited free power, energy companies will have to reinvent themselves. As their markets wind down, oil companies will realize they're in the liquid transportation business and can start moving fresh water supplies to needy locations around the planet. Oil refineries can be rebuilt as desalination plants. Major engineering companies can respond to rising sea levels by creating canals that divert the excess seawater into barren lowlands inside the continents to form wetlands where it is needed. Neighborhoods will take on a wide variety of energy-producing solutions to become fully independent, but not totally separate from the power grid. Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the planet. In a peaceful world, the military and police forces will have to find a new relevance or be disbanded. The national military forces of the planet can merge to form natural security teams to restore the ecosystems of their respective regions, for example, or help others in their time of need. The newly disarmed forces will find plenty of work in restoring the Earth's forests, plant life, watersheds, wildlife, and while we're at it, let's focus on the entire biosphere. Governments will decentralize into bioregions and organize their former military and other departments to generate crop-growing regions in all available locations to ensure total global food abundance. Railheads, airports, and warehouses will converge to facilitate and launch global air rescue missions that deliver major emergency supplies to any needy group globally within hours of a disaster. All will recognize the karmic benefits of helping others in need. Post-disaster aid will make the stricken cities and villages habitable again by quickly restoring people's lives. The rescued will in turn gratefully volunteer to help in the next disaster effort. All will know the importance of karma and the great benefit in helping others and working together. Colleges will adapt to the vast quantities of content that is already available online and change their courses to teach personal learning-based pursuits, practical life skills, and a new partnership with nature. The teaching services will include mental, physical, and spiritual therapy available to all, where all traumas can be resolved on a personal basis. Medical practices and the health industry will be radically restructured. Helping each other learn and heal will be a very rewarding pursuit for many, as we recognize the positive karmic importance of service to others. Universities will expand upon the science of conscious evolution, enabling a visionary mindset with emphasis on the life force of living intelligence. We will reintroduce creativity as a replacement for the elusive satisfaction of physical belongings and mindless entertainment. An experience-based curriculum will become the new standard of learning. This will include a global embrace of profound simplicity, a freedom from want, and an elevated level of compassion for all living things. Citizens will form web-based democracies to attend to their regional, national, and world needs. Open voting in a completely fair and level platform will enable everyone to voice their concerns in their community. Citizens will form web-based democracies to attend to their regional, national, and world needs. Open voting in a completely fair and level platform will enable everyone to voice their concerns in their community, weigh in on global issues, and reflect on everyone else's vote in a completely transparent forum. Facial recognition and retina identification is already an inexpensive technology that can ensure open and fair elections. Everyone will want to vote because each vote will count for the decisions that will affect their lives. No longer will the inherently corrupt representative government be needed, and corporations will not be allowed the same rights as individuals. Locally based constituents will use the global web intelligence system to optimize local living. Micro farming at an individual level will be encouraged as we strive to get back to nature. The global public will achieve a clear unifying identity with connections to all the people on Earth. Preemptive political power will defang any future. There will no longer be fear-based factions that offer military, industrial, complex product lines for the creation of war. Engaging in warfare or any kind of violence will become reprehensible. Finally, we will come to terms with the notion that intelligent life exists in the galaxy and has already made contact with Earth. It will become common knowledge that the UFO phenomenon was real all along, and we will discover the motives of the 4 races of ETs that have been known to be in contact with certain members of humanity for thousands of years. Those races are the small grays, tall grays, Nordics, and reptilians. We will come to terms with the malevolent ETs who have selfishly done us harm in their service to self. With looking glass technology, all events from all time will be openly viewed by everyone. Talk about the next killer smartphone app. There can be no more secrets and no more lies as we enter the age of transparency. History will become completely clear with no more conspiracies or mysteries. With the assistance of those ETs orientated towards service to self, we will experience real planetary benefits from these new connections. No more starvation or homelessness. No more monetary injustice. All life is held in the highest regard. The end game is love. The planet becomes a paradise. Utopia on Earth is achieved. Colleges will adopt to the vast quantities of content that is already available online and change their courses to teach personal learning-based pursuits. practical life skills, and a new partnership with nature. The teaching services will include mental, physical, and spiritual therapy available to all, where all traumas can be resolved on a personal basis. Medical practices in the health industry will be radically restructured. Helping each other learn and heal will be a very rewarding pursuit for many, as we recognize the positive karmic importance of service to others. Universities will expand upon the science of consciousness evolution, enabling a visionary mindset with emphasis on the life force of living intelligence. We will reintroduce creativity as a replacement for the elusive satisfaction of physical belongings and mindless entertainment. An experience-based curriculum will become the new standard of learning. This will include a global embrace of profound simplicity, a freedom from want, and an elevated level of compassion for all things.